Hello, and welcome to another episode of Naked Turner. One of my early subscribers and good friend of mine actually asked me about the lathe that I use and wanted me to do a little episode on this lathe. So without telling you exactly what lathe it is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it works. Okay, here we are. So I have a piece of lace wood chucked up on my lathe right now. The way I have it chucked up is I screw through the top of the bowl on my faceplate, which goes to my faceplate adapter, which then goes to the spindle of my lathe. All these are threaded onto each other. This is screwed onto the lace wood. Alright, so once I've turned in this mortise in the bottom of the bowl, I'm then able to take my scrolling jaw chuck, which looks like this, and that scrolling jaw chuck fits inside of here. Okay, so the way this scrolling jaw chuck works is it has a slight bevel to the end of these jaws, which is kind of like a dovetail, and so I put a corresponding bevel on the inside of my bowl. I place this chuck in here and then tighten the Allen key. Okay, so here I am with the Allen key and the chuck on, and now I'm expanding the chuck out into that dovetail, so it pulls it up nice and tight against the bottom of the bowl, as well as expanding out and really capturing, getting a good grip on it. I like to do both sides. It has two Allen keys, and that way, just like a drill press chuck, I make sure any slop is taken out of either side of the scroll. Okay, so there it is with my chuck on and my faceplate on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spindle lock, which this lathe happens to have a spindle lock, that locks off my spindle by engaging a pin which has a series of numbered holes, so that if you're doing any kind of dividing of your cylinder or bowl or whatever you're creating, you have a series of marks that you can drill precise holes from, or do fluting, all kinds of stuff that you can do with that. So this is the indexing pin that drops into that. That locks off my spindle. Now that my spindle is locked off, I can take and loosen my faceplate from my spindle adapter, because my faceplate is a slightly different thread. It's a 1x8. My lathe is a 1 1/4 by 8, so I had to get an adapter. That adapter, now I have the faceplate off. I will unscrew the faceplate and then reconnect my scrolling chuck, thereby flipping around my piece of work. Okay, so now I've removed my faceplate, unscrewed it, and have my scrolling jaw chuck on. I've removed my spindle adapter. Now my scrolling jaw chuck will screw right on, just like that. Now it's locked off there. Then I would remove my spindle lock, and now the unit's able to spin freely. Then when I turn on my lathe, the bowl is spinning, ready to go. Lock off my access panel, and now I'll show you some of the other parts of this lathe. Okay, so this particular lathe happens to have a 2 horsepower, 3-phase motor. However, I do not have 3-phase at my house, but the nice thing is this lathe has a phase converter built into the electronics of it. So I have a variable speed, 3-phase motor, continuous torque, gives me a lot of power and the ability to go from a high speed of as much as 3,000 RPM down to a very slow speed. Let me just get it to slow down here. So down to a very slow speed if, for instance, say I'm wanting to apply some sanding sealer or a finish, or just inspect the bowl. So I can go very slow or very fast, and that's adjustable here. by my variable speed control. It's hard to see here in this light, but there's a digital readout showing me 500 RPM, 600, 700, 800, just like that. Okay, so now the other nice thing is I can stop it here, or it has an automatic safety shut-off stop down here. So this has reverse as well, which is a very nice feature to have because it's variable speed, forward and reverse. So when I'm sanding, it's extremely nice to have that reverse capability. Okay, another one of the really nice features of this lathe is that this is called the lathe bed. This surface here, that your tool rest, this is your tool rest, this is the banjo for the tool rest, which moves in and out and along the ways of the tool bed, or of the lathe bed. And then this is your tool rest, which is adjustable in all directions, up, down, side to side. Okay, so you have a lot of adjustability on that. This is the tailstock. The tailstock is able to slide up and down the length of your bed and be locked off. I have different attachments that can fit into here. Center points that just hold the end of a spindle, or this is showing that I have a drill attachment so that I can use it as a horizontal drill press as well. So the nice thing with this is that the motor has a lock on it so that if you want to, you can slide the entire motor. Okay, so here's showing you how the motor will move along the lathe bed. So it slides up and down the lathe bed, just like so. And I lock it off, and it's locked into position. That's a very nice feature for when I'm turning the inside of the bowl. I can bring the bowl all the way down here to the end of the lathe bed, and that way I can stand here at the end to turn the inside of the bowl and not have to lean over the side and turn the inside of the bowl. It makes it a nice handy feature. Anyway, those are some of the features about this lathe. I hope that this little demo has showed you a little bit more about the lathe. And here's a drive center. This drive center can come in to the lathe down here. If I take off this scrolling chuck, there is a Morris 2 taper which matches this taper, and that is a Morris number 2 taper that goes into the spindle, and then that will, the spindle drive, and then that spindle drive will turn, for instance, a spindle for a table leg or a newel post or banister railing, any of that kind of stuff, baseball bat, any kind of spindle stuff. So I use that in conjunction with my live center, or my free center on the other end, which is basically similar to this, except that it's a ball bearing end that allows your... I hope this little informational video has been helpful. I was mainly posting it because, like I said, a subscriber and good friend of mine had asked me about how I was attaching some of my pieces to the lathe, and I hope that this made the explanation a little bit clearer. And hopefully I'll be posting some more informational videos about tool use and things like that, sharpening, in the future.